Okay. Yeah, you can start. Yeah, start.
Okay, we're starting. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, especially today being Father's Day, and it's so beautiful outside. My name is Rup Rai, and I will be your webinar moderator for today. To briefly introduce myself, I am a parent of a 9-year-old who started her schooling career, if we could call it that, in a private Montessori school for her pre-K, and then she did her kindergarten in a Montessori school and a CBE school simultaneously. We paid for the Montessori part, and the CBE, of course, was free. And then she did her grades 1 to 3 in our local neighborhood CBE school, and now she would be attending the GATE program, which is also a CBE program in grade 4. So enough about me. And now, before we start, I think we're going to take about 5 minutes to make sure everyone joins. We're still hoping for a few more attendees to join. We have a lot of people registered, and I'm looking at the number of attendees right now. We haven't reached that number yet. So we're going to quickly chat. I was going to introduce the panelists later, so let's do that quickly now, just because everyone's here. So I'll quickly go introduce you to each one of them, and they can introduce themselves. First on my screen, I see Payal Datta. I would have her say a few words. Go ahead, Payal.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in. So my name is Payal. We have moved to Calgary 2 years back from States. So my daughter attends CBE public program over here. And in this September, she'll be in grade 2 and she'll be going to charter school. So I'll be talking more about when my slides come. So,
thank you, Payal. We also have with us Manugyan Mishra. Would you like to introduce yourself, Manu?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm a mother of 13 years old boy. He started his schooling in CBE. He studied there for 2 years, and then he now goes to TLC school from past 2 years. And we are trying to put him in Westmont school as well, which is for gifted kid. But we are waiting on this. I'll explain you all in detail when my turn comes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manu. And Rachna Tiwari. Maybe I should cue you guys before.
I'm Rachna Tiwari, and I have 2 daughters who are in grade 4 and grade 8. They both are in TLC program. I'll be talking about TLC and IPP when it comes to my slides, and please stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachna. Avneet Danoa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking our time to come join us today. I am a mother of a 6-year-old, and I'm a teacher. I graduated from the Bachelor of Education program here at UFC in 2010, and I've been teaching since then. I have varied experience. I've taught in Montessori, and right now I'm teaching at Providence as a special ed teacher for their kindergarten program.
Thank you so much, Avneet. Thank you for joining us. And then we have Gurmeet Bindra.
Hello everyone, my name is Gurmeet and I'm here to share information about Westmont Charter School. And I hope that through this information session, I am able to provide the information the audience is looking for, and I'll speak more about my information during my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Gurmeet. Sheetal Chima, who is a new addition to our group. Thank you so much, Sheetal, for filling in for Suhail Malhotra, who was supposed to be speaking about science schools today, but unfortunately he had a family emergency that he couldn't get away from. So thank you so much, Sheetal, for stepping in.
Thank you, Roop. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's kind of exciting when it comes to picking what is right for your kids. So I thought it would be wonderful to put in my little information for all the parents. I'm a mom of 2 kids, a 9-year-old and my daughter is 5-year-old. My son is 9. My son is in science program, so I could give a little bit of information in regards to my son. My daughter would be joining just a regular CBE school. So yeah, that we all know about most of it. So yeah, but it'll be exciting to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheetal. And last but not the least, Ali Nizami. We are waiting for Raman Kapoor. And I believe that's pretty much all. We covered all the panelists, but we will be introducing you to behind the scenes people as well. But Ali Nizami.
Hi guys, thanks for having me here. Really appreciate the chance and thank you for being here. Thanks to all the panelists. My name is Ali Nizami and I am a father of two kids, one school-going kid who's in middle school right now. And I'll be happy to share my experience as a parent of a school-going kid who's going to CBE public school. So I'll come in the end and I'll just have a couple of pointers for everybody.
May I intervene?
Yeah.
Ali,
Yes.
can you please check your mic? You're not audible.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How's this?
Oh, a lot better.
Perfect. So I'll start over again. Thank you for having me here, and thanks to the panelists for being here. This is a wonderful group of people. I'm looking forward to talking to all of you guys and giving my 2 cents. I'm a father of 2 kids, one school-going kid who's in middle school. So I'll be talking about my experiences of a parent who has her kid in public school systems. So thank you, everyone, and have a fantastic 2 hours here, or hour and a half.
And voila, we also have, thank you so much, Ali, sorry. We also have Raman Kapoor who just joined us. Raman, we're just doing quick introductions while we're waiting for people to join.
Fantastic. Hi, I'm Raman. So sorry for the technical difficulties. Technology is always great when it works. So I will talk a little bit about private schools today, and I'm open to answering any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Raman. Like I said, we will also introduce you to a couple of people who are behind the scenes, who were instrumental to bring today's program today. First of all, Devesh Oberoi, whose voice you've already heard. You can unmute yourself again, Devesh. You can say hi, a quick hello. And he will be jumping in now and then to correct us. So technically, I call myself the moderator, but Devesh and Yashwashwini, who are behind the scenes, they're the real bosses here. Go ahead, Devesh.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Devesh here. So I'm a parent myself, but my kid doesn't go to school yet. So I'm more of an audience or a participant in this webinar than a panelist. So I'll be just looking forward to have all my questions answered by this fabulous group of panelists here with tons of information. So yes, look forward to being more informed after this webinar. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ru.
Thank you so much, Devesh. And last but definitely not the least, the most hardworking of us all, Yash Ashwini, who's been up days and nights working on this presentation. So, tada, presenting to you, Yash Ashwini Jayaprakash.
Thank you so much, Roop. That was a nice introduction.
Yeah, I needed drums. Sorry, I should have got some sound.
Yeah, well, it's all a team effort, of course, because all of you have pitched in. I have to thank each and every one of you who's taken your time out to be able to create the presentation. I've just been putting them together, that's all. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have known all of you. It's a pleasure to be able to do something that's going to help so many people out there. So hope this webinar is going to help you all in making the right decision for your kids. Well, yeah, that's about me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rash. So we have nearly 100 people who have already logged in, so we'll get started here. But before we start the webinar, we take this moment to thank our sponsors, without whom this webinar would not have been possible. So we'll start the sharing our slide now. Slide, sorry. I can't see it on my screen.
Starting now. I'm sharing the screen now.
Okay.
Okay, Devesh, it says my screen sharing has been disabled.
Raman, you're not alone.
No. You think, you use technology day and night, and the day you need it to work is the day everything falls apart. And you're going, where? Why?
We had our prep seminar or the rehearsal a couple of days ago, and my mic could not work. And today I'm a little bit worried. Let's see. Hope it works.
Despite the kids being on, like they are online schools for the last 3 months, you think we know this stuff inside and out by now.
All right, guys, can you see this on your screen now?
Yes,
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I
All
can
right.
hardly see anything. Okay. Oh, there. Okay.
Okay, starting now.
Actually, before we start, I'm going to ask all the attendees to, if they can quickly tell us the grade that your child would be going to in fall, or the reason why you're here today, or what you want to learn from the seminar or webinar, because if we look at the questions prior to speaking, maybe we'd be able to focus our talk on the topics that you want to hear about. So if you can just quickly type in quickly to us, telling us if your child is going to kindergarten this year or starting grade 1 or high school, just give us that information to help us make this better for you. And of course, there might be some technological restraints. We may or may not be able to get all that information, but hey, worth a shot. All right, so as the slide says, Indian Society of Calgary presents Calgary School Systems, an interactive webinar by parents. Like I said, before we start, we'll thank our sponsors first, without whom this webinar would not be possible. First up, we have, could I please request all panelists to turn their mics off for now? Thank you. So first up, we have Manpreet Pabla, who is a mortgage consultant. So if you're if you're a first-time buyer or new to Canada, or you're purchasing your next home, self-employed, or you're looking for mortgage renewal, refinance, or pre-approval, please contact Manpreet Pabla. His number is 403-630-0009, manpreetpabla.com. Next up, we have NSI Tax and Accounting Services. They're located in Airdrie. Their number is 403-922-5004, and the name is self-explanatory. They do your bookkeeping, your tax and accounting services. So whether you have a small business or you're looking for someone to do your bookkeeping for your home, or your taxes for your personal taxes, please do contact them. Number once again, 403-922-5004. Next up, we have Gurjot, IPTV, of course. All of us use IPTV, especially in times of COVID. It has been very useful. Number to call, 403-335-5555. That's an easy number to remember, 403-335-5555. You call Gurjot for best service and price guarantee for IPTV and your entertainment needs. Amit Gupta, he's not just a realtor, he is also an IIT graduate. He works with RE/MAX House of Real Estate, and his number is 403-617-4852. 403-617-4852. Please contact him for any real estate needs. So we've covered your real estate needs, we've covered your mortgage needs, we've covered your entertainment, we've got your taxes, and we've got your accounting. And the only thing that is left now is your groceries, because of course you need food as well. We've got groceries, Authentic Desi. They are on 14th Street, Northwest Calgary. I wasn't aware of that. I actually had to Google that address to find where they were. They are on 3400 14th Street, Northwest Calgary, but you can order online at www.calgarydesistore.com or WhatsApp them at 1-403-477-7345, because they offer free home delivery. All right, now that, moving on, sorry.
Sorry, can you mention Vipul Patel?
I'm sorry?
Vipul Patel.
Oh, okay. I didn't see his name on there. Vipul Patel,
Yes.
of Authentic Desi.
No.
Grocery.
Just a second, please.
No
Let me stop
worries.
sharing for a minute. Yeah, thank you.
I wish I could sing. I could sing. Anyone can sing? Someone wants to sing?
You can tell us a joke.
Or you could let us know what you did for Father's Day today. Did everybody have a good Father's Day? Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Beautiful. It was a lovely day in Calgary to be celebrating Father's Day.
Isn't it nice?
It's beautiful outside, yeah.
It's supposed to be a thunderstorm warning, but I don't see it
It'll
coming
be fun.
anytime soon.
My daughter prays to God every morning. God, don't be so funny. Don't keep changing the weather all the time. Keep it sunny.
That won't be Calgary.
Calgary is one city where in a single day, you can see all 4 seasons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
See it rain, you can see it sunny, and you can see it,
It
gray.
can snow.
It can snow on the same days it's sunny.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen snow in July. So I'm actually a born and raised Calgarian. So
Nice.
have lived in Calgary my whole life and truly have seen every single season in a full day. I'll start out with sandals in the morning and end up with boots in the evening. So,
Especially when you go for walks, you always have to layer because you
Yes.
need your rain gear, you need your sweater, you need your tank top, you need everything when you're on a walk. All right, I didn't see this slide before, so I'm going to quickly read this slide with you guys. Institute of IT Training, Quality Assurance, Business Analyst, Software Development, Project Management, Test Automation, IT Training with practicum. Oh, I didn't know that. Duration 2 to 6 months only. iofit.ca 403-207-0273. Jobs at iofit.ca. Institute of IT is licensed and registered under the Government of Alberta. Interesting. This actually blends in right in with our seminar today. All right, thank you so much for the sponsors, or to the sponsors. Moving on, can we turn the mics off again, please? Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Ali. All right, now, so let's set the agenda for today's webinar. We have a table of panelists who you've already met. They are parents themselves with their children in Calgary school systems, and they've all been kind enough to volunteer their time, not just today, but prior to today, preparing for these slides, discussing content on our Facebook Messenger group. Thank you all so much. So they will be sharing information that they've gained over the years with the school selection process, the information that they've gained over the years with admission process, their lived experiences with their kids going to schools here in Calgary. So we'll be hearing from them. Our collective objective here is to pack in as much information as we can into this conversation. However, there might be questions that remain unanswered. Please feel free to type them to us at the end of the seminar. There'll be a question and answer slide. Please feel free to type them to us and we'll try our best to answer them for you. But in any case, if there's a question that still remains unanswered, we will get back to you at a later time. And also a recording of this webinar will be made available to you as soon as possible. All right. Also wanted to mention before we move on to the panelists, I wanted to mention that we will be talking of different programs and schools in Calgary, but in no shape or manner do we recommend one program over the other. The most common question that we keep hearing over and over again is parents asking, what is the best school in Calgary? Or what is the best program in Calgary? There is no right answer to that question. You as a parent need to do your own research, attend webinars like this, go to open houses in schools, talk to your family and friends, and figure out what works the best for your child. So we will be providing information and personal experiences today and opinions, but the decision of where to send your child for school is only and only yours. As the cliche goes, listen to everything, listen to everyone, but you do you. Okay, moving on to the panelists. My slide has gone missing again.
Just a second,
Sorry.
please. I'm so sorry about this. There is some confusion with the PowerPoint presentation. Just a second, please.
Okay, singing time again, guys.
I am so sorry about this. I don't know
no
what
worries.
happened. I don't know how.
No worries. I've got my cup of tea. Chilling.
Okay, can you all see this?
We can.
We're good. Okay, so the panelists, like I said, my name is Rup Rai. Hi, everyone. And we have Payal Datta that's here today, Rachna Tiwari, Avni Dhanoa, Manogan Mishra, Gurmeet Bindra, Sheetal Chima, who's filling in for Suhail Malhotra, unfortunately, who couldn't be with us today because of a family emergency that came up, Raman Kapoor, Ali Nizami. And you can read their brief descriptions under their names so you know what they're here for. And next up, we have a special slide for our behind the scenes gurus, Devesh Oberoi, who's a co-founder and director of ISC, and he will be kind of keeping us in check behind the scenes, and Yashashwini Jayaprakash, who's our social media coordinator and who is also behind the scenes driving this presentation, as you probably already know. So to give you a quick overview of the Calgary school systems, as you can see, there's three major systems here, which is public schools, charter schools, and private schools. Within the public school system, we have the CBE, which caters to K-12 education in Calgary. Public schools, and as the name tells itself, you don't have to pay tuition. Yes, there will be administrative costs, there will be transportation costs, lunchroom costs, which Payal would talk more about, but it caters, but you don't have to pay for the tuition. CBE caters to K-12 education only in Calgary. As of September 2019, which was last year, there are 246 CBE schools in Calgary, and enrollment is at around 125,809 students. CCSD is the Calgary Catholic School District. I'll have to bring in Payal into this conversation, but CCSD also caters to K-12, and it caters to families of Catholic faith, but Payal had something to add here, so I'm gonna, if Payal can join in, please.
Yeah. So a couple of my friends who are non-Catholic and the area's Catholic school they wanted to their kids to go in. So they just went in and talked to the principal that we like your school, we want our kids to go in, but our kids are not Catholic. So what the principal asked them to do is just wait, September the school starts. So they were just informed a week before that they are being taken in. If they find any vacant seats, the kids will be taken in even if the kid is non-Catholic. So this is an exception which couple of schools do, only if there is a vacancy. So if you like the school, the best way is go to the school, talk to the principal, submit your forms, and just wait to hear back.
Perfect. Thank you so much. While we talk about this, I quickly want to remind you, if you have not texted us to tell us what grade your child is going into this fall, you can text us, or Devesh is looking at it right now. So we have that information to help you better. CCSD, thank you so much for that, Payal. It currently has a total of 115 schools, but it covers Calgary and also the outskirts of Calgary, like Airdrie, Cochrane, Chestermere, and Rocky View County. It has an enrollment of 58,000 students. Rocky View School Division, the reason why we're mentioning Rocky View School Division here is because the outskirts of Calgary that CCSD also covers, the CBE does not cover. Rocky View School Division caters to that. So K-12 again, to the west, the north, and the east of Calgary, and it has 51 schools and 25,000 students. Online option, not an option a lot of parents take, but if you choose to homeschool your child or for medical health reasons or any other personal reasons, CBE e-learning is offered to students from grades 6 to 12, and currently about 209 students are enrolled in online instruction with the CBE program. Charter schools, that's the most tricky one. Alberta was the first province in Canada to establish charter schools, and currently it is the only province in Canada that has charter schools. There are 13 charter schools in Alberta, out of which Calgary has 6 of them. A charter school is a public school that is operated independently, but under a performance contract approved by either the local Board of Education or by the Minister of Education. In our case, I think in Alberta, it is the Minister of Education. Alberta charter schools are publicly funded, and the school associations must be non-profit societies. So that means that charter school cannot have a religious affiliation, they cannot charge tuition, and they cannot operate on a non-profit basis. Next up, we have the private schools. As the name says, you have to pay tuition in these schools, and there is a whole variety of these as well, and Raman would go more into that as we proceed with our presentation. So first up, I'll just quickly give you an overview of the CBE program. So you have the regular program in your neighborhood schools that pretty much everyone is aware of. So your neighborhood school, any local school that your kid should be or could be going into has the regular CBE programming. The rest of the programs that are listed here are a few of the various alternate programs that CBE offers. If you want to learn about more programs that CBE has, you can go to the link that's listed on the slide. So advanced placement is only applicable to high school. GATE is from grades 4 to grade 12. It's for gifted education. International, I can't say this word, because baccalaureate IB program is what we used to call it when I went to high school. It is offered in a few schools in Calgary. You can find that on the link that is listed there. It's a high school program again. Home education, I think it's also offered in high school. Oh, sorry, home education, I think I meant the homeschooling. It is offered in grade 6 to 12, early French immersion, late French immersion, as the name tells, French schools where the language of instruction is French. Montessori schools, I think it is K to 6, and it's a couple of schools. Avneet would talk a little bit more about that. Language programs, Mandarin, Spanish, German, bilingual, that are offered in multiple schools. Science schools, there are a few of them in Calgary. Sheetal would speak more about them. TLC is one of the most popular programs that, alternate programs that we get questions about. And I think Rachna and Manu would be speaking more about that. Calgary Catholic School District programs, we're not going to be talking about them because we didn't really have a lot of interest or questions in regards to these programs. But if you want to learn more about these programs, they are very similar to what CBE offers. You can go to the link that is on the slide. So they have a gifted program, they have IB, they have AP, they have the home schooling program, they have the language, French and Spanish programs as well. All right, I'll hand over the controls to Avneet Danoa now, who would be speaking about a little bit about the admission requirements in Alberta.
Okay, so in Alberta, there are two types of calendars. There's a traditional calendar and a modified calendar. So school for the traditional calendar starts in September and ends in June. And for the modified calendar, it starts in August and ends in June. So most of the CBE schools will either opt for a traditional or a modified calendar. When you're on a modified calendar, they have more breaks during the year. Kindergarten is not mandatory.
I'm sorry, Avneet, I need to intervene. Your mic is breaking. The audio is really breaking. Or is it?
I'm not sure what.
Oh, it's better now.
Here if that's the.
It's working now.
It's better? Okay.
Yeah, it's better.
I wondered if my phone's thing was interrupting. Okay, so going back, kindergarten is not mandatory in Alberta. The mandate starts from grade 1 when your child turns 6 years of age. So once they're 6 September 1, it's mandated for them to be in a grade 1 program. Now, a child can start kindergarten in the fall of 2020, that's this year, if they turn 5 years old on or before December 31st of this year. And then they'll start grade 1 in the fall of 2020 if they turn 6 years. Sorry, again?
Sorry, yeah, something's happening.
I am not sure what.
Keep talking, I'll keep interrupting you when it happens again.
Okay. So they go to grade 1 in fall of 2020 if they turn 6 years old on or before December 31st. Now, preschool usually starts when a child turns 3 years of age. Some preschools for children too, up to parents to decide. It's optional. There are lots of preschools in your neighborhood that you might want to check, and they have different programming as well. Now, Alberta Education does provide a framework curriculum that's called Play, Participation, and Possibilities for preschools to follow. Some preschools do follow, others don't. So it totally depends on the preschool, and they are all private. There is a link on the website here that you can, on the PowerPoint, that you can look into to see your child's eligibility to start kindergarten. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I will also be talking about the Montessori program. So Montessori is a method of education that was started by Maria Montessori in 1907 in Italy for children that were rejected by the society. So she took those children and she developed this program, which is now widely used around the world. The Montessori approach is a child-centered approach where child sets the pace of learning with the guidance of the teacher. So the teacher acts more like a catalyst in the process of learning. In a Montessori classroom, children use Montessori equipment and learn using their 5 senses. So now in Alberta, all schools are mandated by Alberta Education to use the curriculum that's provided by Alberta Education. So Montessori is a method of delivery of the curriculum, not so much a curriculum. There are 3 schools in Calgary that are under CBE that provide the Montessori education. And there are lots of private schools for elementary and a couple of middle schools that are private for Montessori method of education. There are tons of preschools in the city that offer Montessori programming as well. For CBE, if you choose to put your child in a CBE Montessori school, the application process starts in January and is due by mid-February. You might want to check with the school for the deadline. For fees, there is a link also on the PowerPoint presentation for the CBE schools. And again, like CBE school fees are it's mostly administrative costs or resources that they have to cover. Yeah, and that's my part for Montessori. Now I'll talk about special education. Now, special education is the education that's provided to children with disabilities and delays. Alberta Education provides funding for a child with disabilities or delays once they turn 2.5, depending on their birthday, because you want to leave the last year for kindergarten. And that's the PUF programming. To receive the funding, a child needs to be assessed from a registered either a psychologist, speech pathologist, occupational therapist, physical therapist, or a pediatrician. If you think your child is late in one of the developmental areas, you can contact your family doctor and then they can refer you to a pediatrician, and then it starts. And that's covered by AHS. Okay. I have a link which has the developmental milestones that the child needs to meet. So it's very critical for you to be watching your children, especially when they're younger, because that's the crucial period for their brain to develop. So these milestones
I'm sorry, Avneet, static again. You'll need to repeat the last point.
Okay, so I'll start where I was. Developmental milestones. So the link I have is from Alberta.
No, it's not working.
Let me try one.
I can read it out for you. Do you want me to read the slide out for you?
Hold on. I don't understand why it would do that. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, is that better?
Yes, now I can hear.
Okay. Okay, I'll quickly talk so that I've covered the most part. So yeah, so the Alberta Health Services they have the developmental milestones. So that is a good baseline for you to see where your child is at if you think they're delayed one or more areas. Sometimes the delay could be generic, sometimes it could be just blowing up. There's a delay, you might want to look into it and contact academy.
Avneet, I'd recommend, can you sign in with your phone later? So we'll skip the slides for now. We'll come back to them.
Sure.
We'll just move on to the next slide. I think that would be more,
Okay.
because there's, if it's not working, then we don't want to waste everyone's time. So we'll just move on to the next slide.
Okay.
We'll get Payal to please take over, and Rachna, thank you.
Hi, everybody. So I will be talking more about the CBE public school regular program because my daughter has attended kindergarten and grade 1 in our local neighborhood school, and we love it over here. So the first thing you have to do is registering a child. So if the child is non-Canadian, I mean PR holders, immigrants, and refugees. So you have to go to admission and assessment office, which is at the Kingsland Center. The address and the phone number is given over there. And with your work permit, with kids' birth certificate, and as well as kids' work permit or study permit. Taking that, you have to go to that center for registering your child for the local neighborhood school. And if the child is Canadian and citizen, then you have to go to the zonal school directly, and they will be telling you what are the procedures for that. The website is given over there that will help you more to understand the registration process. And for CBE public schools, there is no timeline for admission because CBE school starts from September and it continues till June, being July and August being summer vacation. So till June, you can register your kid any time of the year. So if you come to Calgary in May, or suppose end of the year and you have just 1 month or 15 days, still the child can go to the school if you register your kid after coming here. So 2 things which you have to keep in mind while choosing a house in Calgary is not all schools in Calgary provide school bus. So if there is any school which is not providing school bus, you have to drive and pick your kid to the school because school will not take the responsibility of picking or dropping your kid if you do not drive. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is in Calgary, the work zone is considered between 1.6 kilometer and 2.4 kilometer, depending on the grades configuration. The elementary school will be offering 1.6 kilometer and the mid-high school will be offering 2.4 kilometer because the kids can walk in that way. Because here it snows for most of the time we have winter. So in case parents want kids to go in school bus, and if the school is providing school bus, then you can avail that. You have to pay a school transportation fees. So if you go to that CBE website, they'll have a big page which talks about transportation and what are the charges. More about it. Also, one important thing is if you are moving house in the middle of the school year, what you have to do is you have to inform your school and take a transfer certificate from there, mentioning your new address where you're moving, and they will be giving you all the details. And then with that, you can go to the new school and to inform them that your child was there in a different school and changing your address to a different place. And one more thing, my personal experience says like we love the public school over here. The teachers are great. They take care of your kids. What the regular activities, and especially last couple of months since the online schooling is going, it's like on top of it. Teachers are on top of it, what the kids are doing, and it's very interactive. So we are just loving the whole process over here. And I don't have much idea about individual programs. Telling that, I'll pass over to Rachna. Over to you, Rachna.
Thank you, Payal. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Rachna, and I'll be providing some information regarding IPP. So let's first talk what is an IPP. So IPP stands for Individual Program Plan. As the name says, IPP is an individual program plan for the students. So now, which kind of student, which type of students? So all the students who are identified as having special education needs they can be like with disabilities or delays, as Avneet mentioned, or students who are gifted and talented require individual program plan. What kind of information does IPP contains? So a student's IPP will contain essential information about student strengths and needs, current level of performances, specialized assessment results, recommended support, Sorry,
Rachna,
I
you
got,
muted, yeah.
were you able to hear me last, or I just got muted?
You just got muted. So the last sentence, please.
Okay. So yeah, so where was I? Yeah, so what I was telling, what does IPP contain? So IPP contains all the essential information about the students, like students' strengths and needs, current level of performances, a specialized assessment, psychiatric assessment results, recommended supports, and instruction strategies that will be most effective for that student. Now I will talk about how will we get the IPP. So my experiences with gifted IPP, so I will explain about that. After being tested for giftedness, you inform the school with the results. Sometimes students can be tested by the school as well. Then CB school staff, in consultation with parents, creates an individual program plan which addresses the specific educational needs of the students and conditions for academic success. The teacher will develop a number of long-term goals and measurable objectives, usually 1 to 3 per year for the gifted students. It depends on students as well, like how much do they achieve, because these IPPs are reviewed every twice a year. So if these IPPs, in the IPP, if these goals are not achieved, or so then they will be remain same for the next IPP, and if they're achieved, then they will change and they will set up a new goal for the students. These IPPs are also required if you are planning to enroll your child in the GATE program. And if you all have any questions regarding that, please feel free to ask in the question and answer section. I will hand over to Manu to talk about the TLC now. Thank you.
I wanted to pipe here. Sorry, can I say something, Manu, before you start?
Sure, yeah.
Just wanted to quickly clarify that IPP program that Rachna just described, just went over, it is within the CBE system. So in public schools, the CBE public school, a child would have their IPP. There was a question regarding this from the audience. Thank you, Manu.
Hello all, thank you so much for tuning in once again. Traditional learning centers, mostly abbreviated as TLC school, as mentioned by Rachna. The admission process of these schools starts in Jan and ends in Feb. However, the open house happens in the end of December most of the time. So in the end of the December for the following academic year. Admission deadlines are from first week of Feb, and you have to fill up all the forms and submit it by February first week and wait from the school to hear about the confirmation. There is an exclusive list of TLC schools on CBE website as well as on Google. Few of them to name is Justice G. Melvin and Annie Gale School. The TLC program starts from kindergarten and it goes till grade 9. There are a lot of seat in kindergarten, and then it becomes limited. It gets reducing with every higher grade because of limited limited seats, and the seats are only available because the kid leaves. The admission is by lottery system, and also every school have their preference list. So, and preference list includes the preference like sibling of the kid studying in the school, a kid living in the vicinity of the school. So these two are the most important preference list, though it is by lottery system. And thank you so much. Over to Rachna again.
Thank you, Manu. Thank you. So as Manu was mentioning about the TLC, so in TLC, the early literacy includes explicit instructions in phonics, spellings, and grammars. Like they teach about the sentence structure from grade 1. They emphasize on that, like grammar should be perfect, and kids, they should learn about that from the starting. French is mandatory from grade 1 to grade 9. Music is required from kindergarten to grade 9. All the TLC middle school offer instrumental music band. Some of them have concert at the end of the year, which can be in the school or which can be out of city, like BAM. School uniform is mandatory and can only be purchased, I would say, from McCarthy store in Southeast, because they have to have their logo. You can find similar pants and similar shirts somewhere else, but they have to have the crest of the school in all the uniforms. And the uniform will cost you around 300 to 400 in first year. Usually they last for 2 years, and many schools, they have their used uniform sale where you can get the gently used uniform in the reasonable price. Every TLC, I would say, is unique in what they offer, the optional courses and the facilities. So it is always good to go into the school which falls in your, which is in your designated school. Like go to the designated TLC school and talk to their principal about their programs and their offering, and go attend all the open houses. As Payal mentions, students who are new to CBE and students who are not a Canadian citizen must first go to Kingsland Reception Center for an initial assessment prior to registering for an alternative program. Now comes the cost. So what are the costs associated with the TLC program? So other than the instructional fees and the lunch supervision, which is applicable to all the schools, all the CBE schools, the major cost for TLC is transportation, which has recently changed. For school year 2021, the transportation fees is $800 for grade 1 to grade 6 and $400 for kindergarten. TLC doesn't have any walk zone rules, so if you take bus, you pay whatever fees is applying to you. Some school offers yellow bus for grade 6 to grade 9, but some may be designated to Calgary Transit Service. It means the child from grade 6 to grade 9, they may need to take that transit to get to the school. All the alternate programs use congregated bus stop model where students from different communities gather at one stop to take the bus. I would like to share my experience with TLC here. So my children started, my older daughter, she started in kindergarten. So and she will be finishing grade 8 this year. So it's almost 9 years. And I'm very happy and very satisfied with the TLC program, seeing their services and everything over these years. I would really recommend TLC. I like it. And this is the only school which you find close to Indian schooling system, Indian traditional learning system. And not that much homework though, but still they have to do homework, which as Manu mentioned, they get on Monday and they usually submit on Friday. And that is a very good way to involve in your kids' studies as well. You get to know what is going on in school. And if you want to get involved more, then you do the volunteers in the school. That is also a very good opportunity to involve in the school. And yes, I mentioned the cost. These costs are yearly, not monthly. You can pay monthly though. When you register for my CB account, you can pay either monthly or yearly, whatever, but these costs are yearly, as I mentioned. And I would also like to ask Manu about her experience. How was it for her for TLC? So it's over to you, Manu.
Before Manu starts again, sorry, I keep interrupting Manu for some reason. A quick question to you guys that we got in our chat from our audience. They're asking if there is any test or any assessment prior to getting into TLC, like for example, for FFCA, there is interviews. Is there any such process with TLC?
No.
For TLC, no assessment.
No assessment. The only assessment is if you're not Canadian, if you just landed in Calgary and you have to register for those programs, you just go to Kingsland Center. That is the only thing. Otherwise, if you're moving the school and there's no assessment test or anything.
So if you're moving the school, does the current school, the regular CB program, do they have to intervene or do they have to refer the child to TLC program, or can you go directly and apply?
You can go directly. If there is a space and you got selected in lottery, you can go directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So sorry, go ahead, Manu.
You have chosen me.
I know, right? You're the chosen one today.
Thank you so much. So my kids, my experience with TLC was amazing because it was like kind of a very tough journey which started for us. My kid, like we shifted to Calgary in 2015, and my kid has to go to, like he went to grade 4 in CBE school, which was like in the community. First year was super challenging for both of us, like for my kid, and then it was like the challenge was shifted to me because I had to go and attend all his meetings. So 5 meetings in a year, and I was done. And then we bought our new house, and that's the reason I had to change his school. This school, after 2 months, I received a call, and I was like, scared again to go to school. But this time it was all for good reasons. The teacher said that he's an amazing kid and all the good things about him. And they said, how about you getting him tested for giftedness? And I did not have any clue about giftedness by then. So they said, and also my financial situation was not that I can afford for gift, like that huge $1,600 for giftedness test. So the school proposed to sponsor his giftedness test. And I was not lucky because his teacher met an accident, and then he discontinued the school, and so many things happened. But my son finished his that year's session, and by then I knew about TLC school, because when I was finalizing my house, TLC school was the top requirement before buying the house. So I went to TLC school open house, and for a moment I thought, okay, probably I don't need a Westmont school or giftedness school for my kid. TLC will do good, because my vision for my kid and school's vision both were aligned. So I was like, okay, I will put my son in TLC school. And thankfully, because of he came in one preference list that my house was in a walking zone, they accepted my kid. And again, after 2 months, I got a first call to attend the school, like attend school for a meeting. And went school, teachers were like, no, you have to get him tested. I said, okay, till the time I'm not getting him tested, what can we do in interim? So they said, okay, we'll give him we'll give him challenges, and he will do problems for higher grades. I said, okay. And then I got him tested. I was scared that maybe he is not gifted. It's just teachers are feeling it. But yes, he was gifted, and had a pretty good IQ score. And then teachers put him on IPP plan, which Rachna has mentioned. IPP plan is of two types. One is for the kids who are good in studies, and one is kids who need special attention. So yes, my kid also needed special attention, because he being in grade 7, he was way ahead from grade 7. So he had to be given grade 9 maths. So I am so blessed that his teacher knew his strength. He found that he is he's super gifted. I feel a little hesitant in singing all praises for my kid, but they said, okay, he needs to do grade 9 math, so they are giving him grade 9 math. His teacher felt that he is also socially crippled, like he is not very social. So they also arranged a program for him, which was which is where he has to support his classmates with maths problem or any other problem. So that was the social need. What else a mother can ask? Like, they are taking care of him academically, they are taking him they are taking care of his personal growth. And yeah, I've applied for Westmont school as well. So that is the best I could have asked for my kid. And TLC school is one of, it fulfills my needs and everything, and my kids' academic needs. Thank you so much. Over to,
and here, sorry again. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it to anyone else. Before Mano passes the baton on to the next person, I again want to quickly mention, thank you so much for sharing your story, Mano. But we want to emphasize the reason why we're sharing our stories is to remind you repeatedly, or to tell you that whatever the decisions that we took with our children, or decisions that we're making, for their schooling future, are individual, and it's really up to you. You figure out what works the best for you, for your child. If CBE program works the best for your child, that's fantastic. So the program he or she thrives in is the program for you. And so, but it's great to talk about these experiences, great to discuss these experiences, to know why parents make the decisions that they do. Thank you so much, Manu. And yes, please carry on.
Can I intervene for a second, please?
Yeah.
Because Manu's talk had, Manu used the word giftedness quite a lot in her short speech. So some of our participants might be curious to know what exactly is this giftedness? How do we define it? Is it just the IQ? Does the kid have to have a super high IQ to be termed as gifted? Or what are the criteria? Can you please elaborate on that?
Yes, thank you so much, Devesh, for pointing that out. Yes, we will be talking more about giftedness as we go further into the presentation. We'll be talking about it when Westmount comes up. Payal and Gurmeet will be talking a little bit more about it, and I will be talking more about it when the GATE program is discussed. So gifted program is a specific program identified for children, for students who are identified as gifted. But it is different. Being gifted doesn't necessarily mean that you are, the smartest kid in the class. You could be extremely bright, but you may not be identified as gifted. So being gifted is a special category. It's like 2% of students who are in that category. So we have to be very clear about that. And we will talk more about it further in the slide, or so in the presentation.
Thanks, Ru. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Manu, hand it over to whoever you want to hand it over to now. All yours. Oh, she's mute now, so I'll hand it over to Sheetal. This slide was supposed to be covered by Suhail Malhotra. He is online, I believe, but he can't turn his video on. He's not feeling too well. There is some issues happening, and there has been a personal tragedy, unfortunately. But Sheetal will be chiming in for him, and if Suhail wants to speak, he's more than welcome to as well. Sheetal, thank you.
Hi, thanks, Rup. I'll be talking about science program. Usually when we say science program, most of the Indian people get attracted to the word science program, and they end up thinking it's one of the best programs and everything. So I just wanted to put in little information before I go on with what is on the slide. Science program is basically for the kid who would be curious, who wants to do more work with hands-on experience and learn through that process rather than just learning about science or math, because some parents end up thinking it's all about science. It's a school with everything to do with what a regular CBE school does. The only difference would be your kids will be doing more field trips, which means they'll be learning more with watching the world and observing the things around. And it emphasizes on looking, observing, and then learning rather than just doing it from the book. So that's one thing that parents really need to make up their mind. Will they be able to spend that much time on the field trips? Because you do have 10 to 12 field trips every year. And you do need police clearance as a parent. One of you have to go out with your kids and get those field trips, volunteer that you need to volunteer for. And it's a lot of time that you need to put in along with your kid going to the school. So that's one thing parents should be committed to before they go ahead and decide to put their kid in, because from my experience, some parents put their kids in and after 1 year, they're like, we cannot spend so much time. And then they just had to move their kid to another school again. So please be committed. If you want to do that for your kid, you would need to spend time with your kid there. The school is basically CBE curriculum, nothing different. The only difference would be more experiments in the classroom. My kid loves doing that. They do a lot of more experiments. They spend more time making and building stuff, basically using more physics, math, and different things that would help them build things. They do have a lottery system. I was lucky to get my kid in because there is a deadline on their website. They do tell you when to apply and by when you would get an answer. And I got late, but still we somehow got in. So if they do have spots, you might be lucky to get in after the deadline as well. So keep applying if you're really interested. You never know. There's few schools in Calgary which have science program. They've been all listed here: Langevin, Lewis Rail, Maple Ridge, RT Alderman, Valley View, that's where my kid goes, and then Ian Basilgate. So Valley View and Ian Basilgate are basically together. One would be elementary, Valley View. Ian Basilgate starts from the middle school. So they're basically same. So K to 9 are put together. And admission process would be similar like any other CBE school. You just go in and apply for it. If you're within their restricted schooling zone, then you would be taken in no matter what. But with science program, they would need to put in for the lottery system. So when people go into Valley View, there's 2 programs. Make sure you tell them which one you're applying for. Is it just the regular CBE or the science program in Valley View? One more thing I wanted to put on from myself, it's not on the slide here, would be, so the biggest thing that I saw with kids is in science program is that it's not about being the brightest kid, it's about being interested in what they're doing. So if your kid is not into exploring and spending too much time getting dirty with stuff and building things, please don't think that science is the best program and put your kid in. Watch your kid and pick what is right for your kid. As Roop said, the same thing. So with Ronak and Meher, I could see a difference. My girl might not like to be in the science program because she's all about just sitting with her book and doing her thing. But in science program, it's a lot of time that you'll be spending other than on the book. So pretty interesting program, I would say, but it has to be the right kid that needs to go in there to be able to show your productivity and do the best in the classroom there. Admission deadlines are up there. It is from mid-February, and they are expected to reply within a couple weeks by, I think it says March in here. They do have open houses. So if you do go on the website, you will get a lot of information when they have open house. You can go into the school, take a tour. And my kid was lucky. We did get initial tour where they just said, once you're picked up, like for the next semester, you just go in, you meet your teacher, and you can do stuff like that too. So it's interesting how they cooperate a lot with you. It's a wonderful school. And that should be all. If anybody's got questions, I'm sitting here, I'll answer them. Thank you, Roop.
Thank you so much. You're not Manu, so I'm not interjecting your talk.
Thank you. Yeah, I would get nervous. Thanks for not doing that.
Thank you, Sheetal. That was quite informative.
Yeah, that was. Thank you so much.
Welcome. You're welcome.
And you did it last minute, like a pro.
I know,
man.
I tried.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sheetal. So quick recap, more information on CBE programs that we have not covered. We're getting a lot of questions on TLC. We're getting a lot of questions on Science School. We will answer those questions after we finish our presentation. So keep the questions coming. We'll go through each one of them after. Thank you. So more information on programs that we did not include in our presentation today for CBE can be found at the link there. If you we'll make this presentation available to you at a later time too, like I said, but that's the link. And again, Catholic district programs you have at that link. And we will talk more about GATE after Westbound Charter, because GATE is also a CBE program, but it's for gifted kids, but it's a CBE program. We'll talk about it after we've talked about Westbound Charter for gifted kids.
Roop, can we have Avneet do her part if she's ready with her mic and if she's okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Avneet,
it's all under CBE. I think it only makes sense together.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, yes.
Avneet, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, can you see me or hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Avneet, perfect.
This is much better.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on my phone now, so well, I don't know where I left.
You can start with Montessori. Start with Montessori. Just quickly go over it. Yeah.
Okay. So Montessori is a method of education that was started by Maria Montessori in 1907 for children that were rejected by the society at that time. Now this approach is widely used in the world. All over, actually. Even in India, I've seen lots of Montessori schools. So Montessori approach is a child-centered approach where the child sets the pace of learning with the guidance of the teacher. The teacher kind of acts like more of a catalyst in their learning process. In a Montessori classroom, children use Montessori equipment and learn using their 5 senses. So it's a very hands-on approach where children learn by doing. So if your child is a hands-on child, needs to touch everything, that's one of the good programs. In Alberta, all schools are mandated Alberta education curriculum. So the Montessori is a method of delivering the curriculum that's mandated by Alberta education. So in Calgary, there are 3 CBE schools that have the Montessori program. You can look on the website, and they're in different quadrants of the city. There are a few private schools that cater for elementary children and middle school as well. There are a couple for middle school that are private, and their fees vary depending on the school. You will have to check on their website. There are lots of preschools in the city that also offer the Montessori programming. Now for CBE Montessori School, the process starts in January for the admission, and it goes to about mid-February. So every year on the website, you will see if the date has changed. So it's the best to look at the school's website to find out what's the deadline for the school. There are basically the resource fees and lunchroom fees and etc., just like a CBE school. And there is a link on this PowerPoint where you can go and look at the different fees for the school. So that's my part for Montessori. Hope I was clear enough. I'll now talk about the special education programming. So the special education is the education that's provided to children with disabilities and delays. Alberta Education does provide funding to children with delays once they turn about 2.5 years of age. To receive this funding, you would need an assessment from a registered psychologist or a speech language pathologist or occupational or a physical therapist, or your pediatrician. So your pediatrician ultimately has to give the letter of diagnosis if there is something that they find. How do you know now your child has a delay? So Alberta Health Services, they do have developmental milestones that a child has to meet. So I have it on the presentation here. So if you click on the link, it categorizes by the age what your child's developmental milestones are supposed to be. And if you see your child is deviated from those milestones, it is good to talk to your family doctor, and then they'll start the process of assessment. And it's covered under Alberta Health Services. Now, some parents can't wait that long. If you see there's severity in their delays, you could always go to a private SLP, that's a speech language pathologist, to get testing, or you could go to different agencies around the city and they can do the testing for you as well for the funding. So if you take the route with Alberta Health Services and they test and your child comes out as severe or moderately delayed, they will guide you which program to go into. And from there, your child goes to a school, either a preschool or a CBE school, and then they get funding. So the PUB funding is only up till 6 years of age. After that, they enter into the major pool of funding that is starting grade 1. And if your child is funded, they'll receive services from a therapist. They will have an IPP, which has been talked about earlier. So any child in a CBE system or Alberta education system as a whole, if they have an IPP, they get a funding. That's why they have an IPP. So IPP keeps track of the goals and their how they are developing within the education system. So there are different programming around the CBE, depending, as you can see on the second slide, that, can we move the next slide? Thank you, yes. You can see the different programs that CBE offers, and within each program, there is a classroom or a program in a school that your child can attend depending on the severity of their delay. And sometimes if it's a moderate delay and a child can be in an inclusive classroom, that's a regular classroom, they will be, and they'll still get some supports and services throughout the year. So yeah, I think I have covered most of what I wanted to. If you still have questions about special education programming, please feel free to reach me. Now I shall pass it on to Ruth.
Before that, Avneet,
Sorry.
So there was someone in the audience who raised this question because they have a kid who's 15 years old and is a special needs kid. So are there any do you have any more specific information for that particular age group, or is it like the same for all kids, like across all ages?
So once they're 15 years of age, they will be, so all the programs that are here, depending on their delay, they could be accessing one of these programs. So it all depends on the severity of the child. And at the end of the day, I would say the parents also have to advocate for their children. Sometimes, I mean, in the herd of children, a child could be, shouldn't say forgotten, but as a parent, you have to advocate for your child. So depending on the delay, when they get this PowerPoint presentation, I think I hyperlinked it. If not, I can send the link for this page and they can access where their child belongs, and it will explain what program they can access.
And we can also sort of connect them with you if they have any
Yes, yeah,
issues.
totally. Yeah, I can personally talk to them as well.
All right, thank you so much.
No worries. Okay, whoever takes, sorry, Roop, back to you because I was kind of budged in here.
Thank you so much, Avneet.
No worries.
All right, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, charter schools. I have to quickly go over these charter schools because we're running out of time. As you can see, there are 6 charter schools in Calgary: Al Medina School Society, Calgary Art Academy Society, Calgary Girls School Society, Connect Charter School, Foundations for the Future Charter Academy, the most popular FFCA, and Westmount Charter School Society, which is the gifted program. Al Medina School Society caters to K-9. They have 2 campuses in the Southwest. English language acquisition is their main focus. So basically, it's for students for whom English may not be the first language, so to increase their proficiency. And that's my kids in the back. They also offer other languages like French, Urdu, and Arabic. And then you have Calgary Arts Academy, which is K-9. 2 campuses in the Southwest learn the Alberta curriculum through arts immersion, literature, visual arts, dance, drama, music. So if your child has an inclination to any of these arts, that might be a place to explore. Calgary Girls School, which is gender separated learning. CBE also has a Calgary Girls School as well. We didn't go over the CBE schools. Anyways, so Calgary's CBE also has an all-girls school for grades 4 to 9. CBE also has an all-boys school, which is grades K to 6. CBE has a sports school as well, which is grades 9 to 12. They also have dual credit, art-centered, career technology, Mandarin schools, which is 5 of them, Spanish bilingual 11, late French immersion 11, early French immersion 25. So you can find all that information on the CBE link we mentioned before. So Calgary Girls School is also gender separated learning, grades 4 to 9, and they have 2 campuses in the Southwest. It's a charter school. Connect Charter School was known as Calgary Science School up until 2014, if I'm not wrong. It is an inquiry-based learning school, like Sheetal mentioned, with the CBE Science School. So it's basically an answer to, or CBE Science School is an answer to this school, whichever way it works. It is just like the CBE Science program, 1 campus in Southwest for grades 4 to 9. FFCA, which is the Foundations for the Future Charter Academy, much like CBE's TLC, FFCA offers a structured back to basics learning environment, and it has a long wait list, as you would hear, that you have to put your child on the wait list at birth. You must have heard of that. Avneet and Rachna would talk more about it. School has 4 elementary school campuses, 2 grade 5 to 7 campuses, and 1 grade 8 to 12 campus. And Westmount Charter, which we'll start talking with in the next slide, Gurmeet Bindraji and Payal would be talking about it. For students who identify as gifted, they have 2 campuses in the Northwest, and they cater to K to 12 as well. Westmount Charter School, we'll start with that.
Hi everybody, I'm back with Westmount Charter School Society. So the Westmount Charter School Society follows Alberta education guidelines, and it has K to 12, which means kindergarten till grade 12 for gifted kids. What we mean by gifted and how do we test for gifted, I'll come to that later. So the application submission process is between September till November, and the actual dates are declared in summer. So you just have to keep an eye on it on the dates when the form starts giving. So it's a school which also has a fee-based school service, bus service, and the kids who reside in the radius of greater than 2.4 kilometers from school can avail the school buses, but it is fee-based. So now coming to the admission process, like how do we go with the giftedness test, whether my kid is eligible to apply for the school? We have to go to, and we have to take an appointment with a registered psychologist who takes and does psychological assessment to kids. So it will be almost a 1.5 hour to 2 hour kind of a test, which the doctor will be doing with the kid. And they will be taking 2 scores of the kids, which is FISQ, FSIQ, which means full scale intelligence quotient, and the general ability index. So they will be measuring 2 things with their questions and with their own pattern, which we parents fail to understand, because we do not know what they will be asking, but they will be judging your kids based on 2 criteria, and they will be scoring your kid. So the score will be the Westmount last year, I remember, because they had a cutoff of 130 plus minus 5. So it starts from 125. The child's IQ score, intelligence quotient score, is greater than 125. You can apply and submit the forms. Also, the Westmount Charter School will be having the admission forms. We have to take the intelligence test result and the admission forms and submit it together. After that, they'll email the whole process of the instruction, what we have to do. Like we have to go, if it is kindergarten, they have the maximum number of seats, 70 to 80. So getting into kindergarten in Westmount is the easiest because they take a huge chunk of kids because they are starting fresh. And the kid will be going through a group discussion kind of a thing, group activities kind of a thing. And when it comes to grade 1 till higher grades, the seats are very limited. If 1 or 2 kids moves out, then a kid gets entry. So it will be just 2 to 3 seats, and the kid will be having an interview with the school panel, 1 or 2 teachers. After that, the school will be informing you about the result and all that. So the school also provides after and before school care. All those details are there when you go to the open house. And yes, one more important thing is Westmount Charter has their open house in the month of September. So if you wish or do not wish to go to the school, you can attend that open house. It's open to everybody. So for Westmount Charter, I'm not yet a parent. My daughter will be starting this September, going to the school. So I don't have the inner side of the school, how the process goes inside. Gurmeet has more inside details of the school. So I'll hand over to Gurmeet to share her experience. Over to you, Gurmeet.
Thanks, Payal. Hello all, my name is Gurmeet and I'm here to share my insight into Westmount Charter School. Westmount is a non-profit public funded school. I just saw in a question answer, one of your audience asked, is it a private school? So it is a non-profit public funded school. It's not a private school. And school provides basic education in enhanced ways to cater the needs of gifted students. So there is one campus for elementary students from kindergarten to grade 5, and other campus runs from grade 6 to grade 12. So school follows Alberta curriculum, but approach of instruction and program is modified. So the program at Westmount is modified to cater the needs of gifted students. School recognize that gifted students have unique social and emotional needs, and staff requires special training. So staff at Westmount is trained to teach gifted students. And there are regular year-long courses till grade 8, but for grade 9 to grade 12, it's a semester program. Like if there's a math for 6 months and there's a science for 6 months kind of a program. There is a lot of parents and community involvement. There are many ways that parents can be involved in school community, from volunteering in the classrooms, attending their educational sessions for just catered for parents they can attend, and there is a participation in coffee talks, and you can be a member on school council meeting if you like. So there is a lot of parent involvement. And so in addition to regular program, Westmount High School offer AP program. And I would like to mention here that no IB program is offered at Westmount. So in summary, it's a program which is catered towards gifted students, but it follows Alberta curriculum, but its program is modified to cater the needs of the gifted students. So now let's look at the learning approach at Westmount. First, there's a lot of project-based, a lot of experimental learning. There is accelerated learning through cross-curriculum and integrated studies approach. So means every year there is a testing offered to students who are already students at Westmount who wants to accelerate in any subject. So for example, a student in grade 7 can choose to learn grade 8, grade 9, or grade 10 maths, and that test is offered in the beginning of the school year. So it's a accelerated learning in one mode of offering later year subjects. In other way, there is something called integrated studies, which is additional components to learning life skills in addition to the regular Alberta curriculum program. So now, in addition to core courses, there is something called Source Room, where students are taught about life skills, how to resolve conflict situations, goals, time management, and relationship management. So that's called Source Room. I'm not aware that that kind of program is offered in other schools, but it is offered at Westmount. So it's in addition to regular school curriculum. So now there is individual program plans are set up for each student at the beginning of the school year. The IPP involves short-term and long-term goals, and those goals are reviewed throughout the school year, and the teachers are there to help or support at any time regarding those goals. Just for an example, if one of the child is introvert and not very keen to participate in the class, so that will be identified with the help of parents and teachers and the school community in the beginning of the school year, and the parents will be notified that students will be encouraged to participate more in the skill where maybe public speaking or debate or class presentation, so that the goal for child who is an introvert is enhanced to make it less stressful for the child itself in a structured environment. It will be a very non-structured, casual way to target the IPP goals. Yeah, and also there are opportunities for various extracurricular activities. There are a lot of clubs, and I want to mention here that there is a lot of inter-school participation, which I love about Westmount. And also I want to mention here that even with very high IQ score on assessment, your child may not be able to get admission, as just because there are limited spots in from grade 2 to grade 9. There are more spots offered in kindergarten and in grade 1 and I believe grade 10. Yeah. So in summary, atmosphere at school is very supportive for gifted kids. And in addition to that, there's a lot of parent involvement. And just because of these two reasons, my personal experience with the school is that it's a very strong community. Otherwise, it follows Alberta curriculum though. So I want to say thanks to you all for listening to my experience, and I will say good luck to all the parents, and I will hand it over to Roop. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gurmeet. You're the only one amongst us who has the experience of children going to these schools. I have a daughter, 9-year-old. She went to the CBE program, but she will be starting the gifted program in grade 4. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story with our daughter. She was identified gifted when she was in kindergarten. So in kindergarten, she was in Montessori program as well as CBE program simultaneously, because we wanted her in school more than at home. So she used to do the Montessori 3-hour program in the morning, which we paid for. And in the evening, she had 3 hours of CBE programming. And during that process, her teachers identified her as gifted, or they said that she might be gifted. So we had to get her tested. We didn't really go through the tests with CBE. Apparently, I'm not really sure if CBE offers those tests within the school in-house. Some schools may, some may not. That you'll have to speak to your principal or your teacher, your students, or your child's teacher to see if they offer those tests in school. But we got her tested on our own. We identified, someone's mic is on. I can hear the feedback. Sorry. Thank you. So we got her tested before she got into grade 1. So we got her tested around, I think, right before kindergarten. So wait, yes, around that time. And at that time, we had an option of keeping her in the regular school or applying for Westmount or applying for any other gift. Well, that's the only other gifted program that's available. But at that time, we made the decision to keep her in the local neighborhood school because it was really important for us to have her develop social networking within the area, have her friends here, have play dates, and develop that social side to her when she's a child. She's only in kindergarten. So for us, that was the importance. Again, like I said, every family is different, every parent is different, so there's no judgments here, absolutely none at all. But for us, it was really important that her focus was mostly on having friends in the neighborhood. So she would, walk to school, walk back home, and then have play dates every day. So that was the reason why we chose to keep her in CBE. And she had an IPP because she was tested gifted at that age. So we submitted the results from those tests to her school, and they had an IPP. So she was an IPP. She used to get extra homework. And I think Sheetal mentioned this, or someone else mentioned this. Pilot, so one of you mentioned it. It's really important for us parents to advocate for our children. We need to talk to our the teachers. We need to tell them that our child might have special needs, or might be gifted or whatnot, so they'll support you through the process. So with CB program, she was an IPP, and then as time went on, in grade 3-ish, she started telling me how bored she was at school. She, in class, in her math classes, she was cutting her shoelaces, she was drinking water, she was doing, she wasn't really interested in her class at that time because she knew everything that they were teaching. So that's when we kind of talked to her teacher, and we realized that she might need a different environment where she might thrive more. And also she had this notion that she's the smartest in the class, and that was really a red flag for us. We don't want her to feel that she's the smartest in the class, because there are people who are going to be in the real world when she goes out and works. There are going to be people smarter than her. So I want her to grow up knowing that there are people who are smarter than her. So never grow up with that notion that, hey, I'm the best. So it was important for us to kind of start exploring different programs. And that time we came across GATE. GATE is CBE's answer to Westmount program. So CBE offers GATE from grades 4 to grade 12. And it is initiated by the CBE, by the school itself. So it is their internal referral and placement process. So we didn't have to do much for it. So my daughter is starting GATE this fall. So last fall, the one that just went by, fall 2019, we got her tested again, because you have to get her tested when she's 7 years old at least for entrance to the GATE program. We got her tested, and she tested gifted again, and we gave the test to her teacher. And that's all we did. We didn't do anything else. They applied for her. They advocated for her. Whatever they needed to do, her school did it for us. And we just got an email, I believe in March, saying that she got admission. So there are two schools. One school is for, this is grades 4 to 6. There are two schools in Calgary. One is in the North Zone and one is in the South Zone. And then grades 7 to 12, again, one in the North Zone and one in the South Zone. So for the North Zone, that's where we are. In her grade 4, she has 23 students for grade 4 that were chosen from all of the North Zone. I believe that'd be the same number from the South Zone as well. So just to kind of give you, an idea of what the process is like, and if your child for some reason does not get accepted into Westmount in kindergarten, there's no reason to fret. There is great program as well, or you can keep applying to Westmount at a later time if the child is gifted, of course. For the criteria for the GATE program, the cutoff for IQ cutoff for Westmount is 125, but for GATE program is 130. Like I said, there are two schools, elementary schools, Hillhurst School and Henry Wisewood, which one is in North, one is in South. Queen Elizabeth High School in the North offers the GATE program, and Louis Riel School in the South offers the GATE program. And talking about the tests, the psychoeducational tests that you get done, yes, they cost money. They end up being a lot of money. I think we spent around $1,800, $1,600 to $1,800. But you could also try going through the University of Calgary route. They have their psychologists, the students who are studying psychology, they can offer those tests for you at an affordable rate. And of course, there's health insurance plans too. But I do want to mention something Gurmeet Bindosh told me last time, is that for the University of Calgary services, you might have to apply there much in advance, because there's a huge wait list for those services. What else? Application deadline is February. Again, the school does that. So talk to the teacher at your CBE school right when the child starts grade 3. Talk to them immediately that you're interested in getting your child into the GATE program, and they will guide you through the process. It's very simple. I think I've covered everything. Bright, on my slide, I have a link there that says Bright versus Gifted. So a lot of parents sometimes are they get when we say gifted, a lot of times parents get worried that if their child is not smart enough, or is the child in the right program if the child is really smart. We have to be very cautious about what the word gifted really means. So if you click on that link, you can see the difference. So there will be a lot of bright students, a lot of kids who will do very well in their lives in the regular CBE program. So don't think that anyone who goes to a gifted program, or all the kids who go to a gifted program, are guaranteed academic success. No, absolutely not. That does not mean that. It's just that these kids need a different environment to thrive. For example, my daughter was not doing so well in her regular school because she thought she was the smartest kid alive. So you just need a different kind of programming for some children, and there's a very small percentage. Like I said, grade 4 for her is only 23 kids. So let's be very, 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 aware of that, and not get worried that, hey, my child is not in a gifted program. Would he be a success, or would she be a success in her life? Yes, he or she will still be a success in his or her life. Being in a gifted program is not a guarantee of that. It's just a different program. That's all there is to it. Awesome. So if you have any questions, we will answer them moving forward. Next slide, please. FFCA. We're getting a lot of question about charter schools, what the difference between the charter schools and regular schools are. If you missed the beginning of this presentation, we did talk about it. We will share this presentation to you later after we're done talking. Please go through that information all over again. Awesome. FFCA. Avneet, thank you.
Okay, so I will be talking about FFCA. I don't have my child going to FFCA. I'm talking from an educator's perspective. So FFCA stands for Foundations for the Future Chartered Academy. So now FFCA offers a structured program, very back to basic learning environment. They use the direct instruction method of teaching, a teaching method that emphasizes carefully planned sequential lessons. And they also put a great stress on phonics for early literacy. The program fosters critical thinking as well. So there's also a great focus in FFCA on character development, and also students wear uniform. So your child, if you choose FFCA, will wear a uniform, will also get homework. They get regular homework every day almost. For the admission process, it's one of the most popular school, especially in the South Asian community. And the registration literally starts as soon as you have the birth certificate. That's when your child is born. So if you are thinking about putting a child into FFCA, you might want to register them as soon as you have the birth certificate. So currently, to get admission, they give priority to siblings, and then wait list, first come, first serve basis. Starting 2022-2023 school year, again, siblings will still get preference, and then wait list. And then there'll be a wait list. There'll be a lottery from the wait list. So they're moving on to the lottery system, much alike TLC program. Their fees I have here on the PowerPoint. You can have a look. This is based on the school year 2019. They haven't updated for the next school year yet. Keep an eye on the website. I also have a link for if you have more questions about their waitlist and admission process. Also, if your child is going to FFCA, they do an assessment for kindergarten. And usually they're given 2 chances depending on how your child does. And then the first time, if your child is not able to successfully do the assessment, they will let you know what are the barriers and what you can work on. The uniforms can be purchased at In School Wear. That's also, they have a website for that as well. Now, FFCA is much like our schooling in India. So if you're looking for, like, TLC and FFCA are pretty similar. So TLC was the answer to FFCA by CBE. So I'll just go over a basic difference between the two programs, because that was also asked in one of our questions earlier. So TLC is under CBE. It is a CBE school, whereas FFCA is a chartered school. Since FFCA is a chartered school, they do hold the right to hold your child or retain your child's back a grade if they're unable to cope up to their standards, whereas TLC can only suggest, and it's parents' choice. And that's with any CBE school. They can only suggest to retain a child, which they hardly ever do, and it's a parent's choice, whereas FFCA holds the right. So if you think your child is not academically inclined, I would be cautious with picking this school, because it also affects their emotional and mental health. Because most of the times as parents, we want our children to excel academically, but we don't think about their emotional stability, which academic plays a big role. Also, another difference with FFCA is they do take children with delays and disabilities, but they do not offer any services. So if you have your child in FFCA and they have a speech delay, you're pretty much on your own to find services for speech delay. Whereas TLC does have services if your child has some kind of needs. And so that's the basic difference between FFCA and TLC. Otherwise, they both have uniform and homework. But at the same time, when we pick a school with homework, we also need to look at our schedules as a parent, if we are able to give that time to them to help them accomplish that homework. So yeah, I will now pass on.
Before you leave,
sorry.
A quick clarification for our audience. So these are all annual fees, right? Not the monthly fee?
No, this is the annual.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And I think there was a question about lottery system that was flashing on the screen here. So not this school year, next school year, that's 2022-2023 school year, they're going to go on the lottery, but you're still on the wait list. So if you're on the wait list, then your name will be picked from that wait list. And also I forgot to tell, the wait list must be renewed every year. So it's not that you register a child once they're born and you're, good for 4 or 5 years. You still have to renew, because that tells them you're still interested in the school program.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in with the lottery system and waitlist question. So basically, up until 2016, if your child was born up until then you were on a wait list. Anyone beyond that will be in a lottery system. And because the school's starting, any child who was born in 2017 will start school in 22-23. So that's when the lottery system kicks in. So anyone who was born 26 and before is waitlisted. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm done. Actually, I have to pass it on to you.
Does Rachna have to add anything to that?
Sorry, Rachna. Did I cover everything?
Meet covered everything, so I think we are good.
Awesome. Thank you.
And also, I think we're running out of time, so if you can just directly move on.
Yeah, we'll move on to private schools now. So we'll, charter school information, whatever we don't cover, just go to their websites. We'll move on to private schools. Sorry, Raman, for making you wait for so long.
It's been a fantastic discussion. It's been lovely to hear everybody. And, it's so interesting to see the different schools that do exist within the Calgary region. And what's so beautiful about that is ultimately each child is different. So every parent needs to do the right research to look into what school best meets the need of that child. We don't want to put children in a cookie cutter kind of approach and say, this is one option and that's the only thing. You really have to look at what's out there, what your child's needs are, what your family's needs are, and then determine what the best school for that is. So I'll quickly talk a little bit about private schools because I do know we're a little bit behind in time here. Just to give a little bit of background, I'm actually born and raised in Calgary, so went through the entire CBE or the Calgary Board of Education for my formal or for my education, kindergarten to grade 12. And now having kids, I've had a chance to put them both into the public school board, the CBE, as well as in private. So I've kind of had an experience of both systems. When we look at the admission process for private schools, each school has a little bit of a different process. There's no, as I said before, cookie cutter approach. In most cases, the admissions are assessed year round, and it's really given based on assessment and availability. So in the present school that we're at, we've had kids that start at almost every month of the year. So a child would come to the school, they'd say that they were interested, they would do the assessment on that child. If there was room available within their quota, then they would let that child in, and as long as they passed the assessment according to their standards. Within many private schools, parents are required to make a decision in the late fall. So in November, usually a letter goes out to to the parents asking if we will be planning to return in September. So by December, they know which students are coming back, which gives them an idea of what their capacity would be like for the remainder of the year and how many students they can actually let in. Siblings are given priority, and all private schools do have some form of assessment, exam, or process, whether that be through an interview, whether that be through psychological testing, whether they write an exam and see how they score on that. So all of that is done in pretty much every school, but it's different based on every school. We can look at the next slide there. So some general points about private schools. In Calgary, there are probably private schools in every quadrant of the city. Most of them do seem to be congregated in the southwest quadrant of the city. There is one in the northwest, a couple in the northeast, and then some sporadically spread out throughout. Most of them have campuses that do cater from kindergarten right to grade 12. So students that do start into the private school system in grade 1 or in kindergarten or grade 2 often foresee that they will stay there until, the older years. And what's nice about that is there is a lot of development between the higher grades and the younger grades. So quite often they will have kids in grade 10, grade 8, grade 7, having buddies in kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, so that they are connected. But at the same time, the older grades do have their own independence and own privacy. So it's really nice to see how the 2 or the 4 different divisions interact with one another. There was a question that was posed in terms of, do you have to get your kids into private school early? The earlier you get them into, if private school is the route that you're looking at, it is easier to get them in earlier. As the kids get older, it becomes a little bit more challenging to get them into the school. It's not that kids can't get into private schools when they're older, it's just that the younger kids have been there for a longer time, and so they're more understanding of the routine, they understand the organization, and they just adapt a little bit better. Some private schools in Calgary include, but are not limited to, things like Weber Academy, everybody's heard of, Strathcona, Tweedsmuir, Rennert, Foothills Academy, Waldorf, Rundle College, Delta West Academy, West Island College, The Edge, and Clearwater Academy. Private schools do follow the Alberta curriculum guidelines. There is a uniform that's generally mandatory, but the uniform varies from school to school. Some schools are very strict in their uniform, and others have a more relaxed, informal kind of uniform. The fees in private schools range in a huge variety, like anywhere from as low as $6,000 a year all the way up to $18,000 and some even up to $25,000 a year. So it is quite a hefty difference in terms of $6,000 to $18,000 or $20,000, but it is very, very individual on each school. It's hard to say that the average cost is this or this is how much. Each school actually deems what their cost will be for that year. When we talk about private schools, it's very difficult to put them into a box. It's hard to say that all private schools do this or all private schools do that. because every private school is so individual and so unique, if you are looking into private schools, you need to really go to their open houses and see if their philosophy matches what you're looking for. For example, something like the Waldorf school, they believe that, you know, reading shouldn't be introduced till a later grade, like maybe kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, up to grade 2. They don't really put a lot of emphasis on the actual reading. Schools like Weber Academy put a lot of emphasis only on the academics. Places like the Edge are what we call sports schools, so they focus more of their emphasis on sports like hockey, basketball, swimming. So you really need to see what your needs are for your child and as a family, and what would best kind of fit that puzzle piece. I'm not going to take too much more time. I am here to answer any questions, so if you have any questions, let me know. And now I will pass it over to Ali.
Thank you so much, Raman, and thanks everyone for coming here. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yes.
So I just wanted to start off with thanking everybody and all the panelists. They're wonderful people donating their time to this informative sessions, and all the sponsors, Yash and Devesh, and Ruth for managing it so perfectly. It's fantastic. I'm one of the board members on Indian Society of Calgary, so I'd like to thank everybody on behalf of ISC. And without getting too, being mindful of everybody's time, and we want to leave some time for Q&A as well. So I'll keep this very tight, and I won't take up too much of our time. And just want to also just quickly take a moment to apologize to anyone who's been having difficulties in tuning in, or technical difficulties, or if you didn't find what we're looking for, we're always open. Send us your questions. This session will be recorded. You can refer back to it if you have any questions that you may have missed earlier. So those are the things that I wanted to cover before I dive into my topic here. So a little bit about me. I am a father of 2 kids and 1 school-going kid. She is in middle school now, and just wanted to take a quick opportunity to talk about my experience. Before we go there, we heard a ton of things here and wanted to, what's next, right? I just want to bring everything up for people. We have so many options here. We heard about 9 people talking about different things today. So how do you select what's good for your kid, right? It's all about selecting the right program for your kid. So there's only 3 simple steps to do that. Just know your kid, identify early interest, and if one school system fits for somebody's kids, doesn't necessarily mean that it fits for your kid as well, right? So that's a fine line that we have to manage. Find your options, and that's what we're doing today. And then once you have your options, you can talk to your friends and family, go into those schools. So if you decided to send your send your kid to FFCA, for example, you can talk to someone whose kids go into that school. And last but not the least on this slide here, I want to make sure that everybody understands that it's really good, really okay to change school systems. There is nothing wrong with that. The word of caution was, as Raman was mentioning earlier, for private schools, like if you go from public to private, your kid might not be able to cope quickly enough, right? So that's just a word of caution there, but it's okay to change school systems, right? And if you have any questions about any of these, just messages, and one of our panelists will get back to you. All right, moving on to the next slide. Yeah.
Because you have a kid who goes to public school, so
yes.
do you want to sort of narrate your learning experience in a public school system as opposed to like private schooling system? Because a lot of participants might have this question. So if you can just elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So just wanted to, the next slide is about that. So thanks for, that's a really good change of slides here. So I wanted to explain a little bit about what happened with us, and then how we are doing as public schools, right? As a parent of a kid that's going to public school. So sometimes we don't get to send our kids to the school of our choice. due to various different reasons. When my daughter was born, we knew what school we started exploring. We knew what school that we might send her to. And my wife and I had registered her to one of the CBE systems that we talked about earlier. I won't name names, but one of the other system, not public school. Due to some unavoidable circumstances, we had to send her to a local public school, right? And like many of us, I thought, oh my God, I'm sending her to a local public school. It must be a lesser quality of education. But public schools are not really less quality of education, right? We were dead wrong. And I'm okay to admit that so that everybody can learn from it, right? I was wrong in thinking that public school systems is somehow lesser, right? It's just, luckily, it was the right fit for my kid, right? What do we do? Like public school systems they have bigger classrooms, the bigger student to teacher ratio. So a couple of things that you can do to make sure you're staying close to the progress of your school, I mean your kid, and help them excel, right? So that's what I'm here to talk about. Because their teachers are overwhelmed with the number of kids that they're managing, we have to do our part in public school systems. That's what I've noticed as well. In private schools, you still have to participate a lot as well. But in public schools, especially, if you do a few things that I've mentioned here, you will be fine and your kid will excel, right? So you communicate with your kid all the time. If you ask them, hey, how was your day? They will always say good, but ask them a few other questions like, how was your school teacher or math class teacher or homeroom teacher or math teacher? Ask them questions that you'll get answers to, and then they will start opening up. That's my personal experience with my kid. And it's good to know what's going on in the public schools because, like I said, they have a lot of students. It's different from neighborhood to neighborhood as well. But in my kid's school, the student to teacher ratio is about 23, right? 23 students to one teacher. One other important thing that we have to do is when they're confident, they have to constantly tell you what's going on in their school and with their teacher and with their classroom so that you can take up with the school authorities. I volunteer at every opportunity we get. Me and my wife, we do because that's a really good way of staying close to your kids' progress. Volunteer, 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 because you know the school, you know the teacher, everybody knows you. And I don't need to mention this, but you never miss a parent-teacher meeting. So here, like, I don't know what else I can say, but here's a few pointers that I wanted to bring up. Most of you are probably already doing this, right? So first year of school, I wanted to explain how my experience was and what I thought about when I was sending her to a public school instead of the other school that I wanted to send her to, and what we can do to help our children excel in public school systems, right? So I want to leave some time for Q&A, and I apologize for taking so much time. Over to the next slide, I guess. So yeah, in the end, I just want to make sure that we are, taking care of our children, giving them the best opportunity to flourish is our responsibility as a parent, right? We all know this, and that's why we're here. Thank you for taking this initiative to come here and making it happen. And forgive us if there was any technological hurdles or something went wrong during this. We apologize in advance. So thank you very much for coming here. That's a wrap up from our part, from the panelists. Over back to you, Ruth.
Thank you so much, Ali. And I'll just add one thing to what Ali said. Thank you for all the valuable points, actually. One thing that I wanted to add was every school has an open house. So please
Yeah.
do go to their website and look for the open houses and see how you can engage yourself. And something that I wanted to talk a little bit more about, again, something he mentioned already, is the engagement on a parent's part. In private schools, Raman was, I think I'll bring Raman in here,
Yes.
is we did talk about it a couple of days, how private schools expect the parents to be a part of, an active part of their schools or their child's education. So you wanted to talk about it quickly?
Absolutely. So, I think sometimes parents and families have this misconception, and I've heard it from parents and families, that when they're going to private school and they're paying all this money, that there should be less responsibility on the parents, because you're paying all this money, so the teacher should be doing everything. There shouldn't be any, I shouldn't have to do more when I'm giving so much. But the reality is, from my experience in the private school system, parents actually have to put a lot more in, because you need to be on top of it, because they are watching everything your child is doing, from, how are they doing academically? How are they doing emotionally? How are they doing socially? And so as a parent, you need to really make sure that you are engaged, as you should be in any school. And regardless of what system you choose, whether it be private, public, charter, you need, as a parent, to, as Roop said, advocate for your children, and also be fully involved. You need to be that support when they are out of school. In school, they have their teachers, but out of school, it is definitely you. And the one difference that I don't know if it was brought up in too high of a capacity is many people don't necessarily choose private schools for having better education. The public schools and the charter schools provide just as good education, just as good opportunities, just as great teachers. All that is fairly in par. But the difference is the classroom sizes. So what we found, that in the private schools, there's just less student to teacher ratio. But are your children going to get the same kind of quality education, quality teaching, quality experiences in every other type of school board? Absolutely. So, definitely keeping that in mind.
Thank you so much, Raman. And like we talked about it the other day, that all the school programs, your child, the school programs does not decide your child's future, but you can make a difference as a parent if you advocate for your child. If I hadn't gone and talked to my child's school teacher, I would not have found that she needs to be in a gifted program. So be an advocate. So thank you so much, Ali. We have the Q&A session still lined up, so stay there. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to quickly read through our sponsors one more time. Manpreet Babla from Invest Canada's Mortgage Experts. Their phone number was available in the slides prior to starting the presentation. So when we give you this webinar, when you can access it offline, then you can go refer to their phone number. Please do contact them if you have any needs. NSI Tax and Accounting Services, Gurjot IPTV, Amit Gupta ji, Remax Realtor, Desi Grocers, and Vipul Patel.
Yeah, just like to add, Vipul Patel
is
for
the IT Institute.
Yeah, the IT. He runs the IT Education Institute. So if you have any further needs for education related to your IT background, or you want to upskill yourself in IT, then he's your go-to person.
Perfect. I didn't know that existed in Calgary, so thank you for that information. We're still here. We're going to be here answering all your questions. So please keep them coming. Keep testing. Hold up, I'm looking at the questions. So yeah, if you have any questions that haven't been answered yet, please send them to us. So I will go through the first question here. So there's a question that, is there a difference between gifted score for IPP and charter schools? I'll go through this question, I'll answer this question, and then I'll go on to the next question, then other people can chime in. So is there a difference between gifted score for IPP and charter schools? So when you get tested, you get a gifted score. So if your child's IQ is above, let's say 125, he or she will be identified as gifted. So once they're identified as gifted, they will be put into an IPP program. So if the psychologist that you're testing with says your child is gifted, you go to CBE, you tell them that, they will automatically put them into an IPP program. So IPP basically means they give them extra work on the side. But for charter schools, which is Westmount Charter, that's the only school that looks for that gifted score. For Westmount Charter, it's 125 and up. And GATE program, which is within CBE, the IQ score needs to be 130. I hope that answers the question. Does anyone else want to chime in, Payal, Gurmeet?
I think you covered it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so next question is for TLC people. Does the lottery system happen every year? If a kid gets into TLC for kindergarten, do we
Roop, you're frozen, I think.
Yeah, oops, audio got dropped. Let's give her 30 seconds. Singing time. Anyone else wants to read off Q&A for while Roop is trying to reconnect?
Let's see here. Are we going by the open question or the answered questions?
Q&A in the chat.
Yeah, there's an open section and an answered section.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. Are you back, Roop?
Oh, I am back. I don't know what happened. It shut. I think it figured when we said thank you, so my computer automatically picked up on it, and it's like, okay, bye-bye. So it shut itself, and it came back on again itself. I don't know. Someone living in my computer. So yeah, TLC people, did they answer that question, or do I have to repeat it?
I think
you froze and everybody else froze too with you, so you have to.
We need to hear the question again, Roop. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the lottery system happen every year? If a kid gets into TLC for kindergarten, do we need to apply for lottery again for the coming years?
No. Once you get admitted, you're good until grade 9. So lottery is only for admission.
And if the kid gets enrolled in TLC in one quadrant of the city, we move house to a different quadrant, can the kid get transferred in TLC school to that quadrant?
I think you need a transfer request, transfer certificate from the school, but if they have, I'm not exactly sure. I will check and I'll get back on this. Maybe Mano can answer for this.
Yeah, I was going to answer, like, I have a friend who shifted from one quadrant to another, and because there were seats available, her kid got into it. But
we will check and we will get back on to this.
Yeah.
Sure. We will answer this later.
If you can write that question down, please. Someone said we landed in March, so we could not apply for TLC. We got our child admitted in a public school. Is it possible to transfer him to TLC in the middle of the session?
If the space is available and they get their number, yes, they can. But if space is not available in that school, then.
Okay, and that question applies to Montessori as well. Avneet?
For Montessori, actually, I forgot to mention that the admissions take place in kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2 only. And after that, if your child has had a Montessori experience or they have some kind of certification or proof that they have been to a Montessori school, they can get admission. And again, it's based on how many seats are available.
Thank you, Avneet. Can someone describe the schedule for CBE school activities throughout the year? Sports, extracurricular, social activities, how many classes per day? Payal, you want to take that?
Yeah. So my daughter has attended kindergarten and grade 1. So they have, I think, 2 to 3 field trips where they will be taking the kids to some national like bird sanctuaries or some zoo or somewhere like that. And then my daughter's school had this swimming classes for 1 week. They had the swimming program, and that was a mandatory part of the physical education. And I remember taking them to a lot of community walks, or like they will be taking them to the vet center for seeing how the veterinary doctor works with the animals. Then they will be going out. Every day they have recess, which is an important point. They have recess every day. If the temperature drops down below 20 degrees centigrade, I mean minus 20 degrees centigrade, it's the kids are advised to stay inside and they're not taken outside the class. But if it is above minus 20 degrees centigrade, they're taken out every day. And other than that, I think it depends on school to school, which exact activities they will like to do with the kids. But this was for my daughter in kindergarten and grade 1.
Thank you, Payal. I'm sorry, someone else?
No, over to you.
Over to me. Next question. Thank you so much, Payal. Again, I also agree with Payal, exactly the same. My kid, there were extracurricular activities within the school. They went for field tests. I was going to say field tests.
Field trips.
No, because one of the projects I'm working on, we're doing a field test. Anyways, there's a question on private schools. Are all private schools in Calgary Catholic? No. Raman?
Hi there, sorry. No, all private schools are not Catholic in Calgary. Actually, most private schools are non-denominational, so they do not follow any particular religion. There are specific Catholic private schools though, but that would be the minority versus the majority.
Thank you, Raman. There are some schools that are religious schools that are private. Khalsa School is one of them. That's a private, right?
Yeah, there are some private schools that do have a religious affiliation, but that would be the minority. Majority of private schools follow no one religion. In fact, the ones that we've had experience for, like they won't even, it's the holiday concert, not even the Christmas concert. So they're very, very much non-religious.
Okay. Thank you. Do TLC schools accept kids in the walk zone, even if they're at capacity? Can lottery be avoided by residing in the walk zone?
No, I don't think so. Lottery can be avoided because even though you're in walk zone, there are other preferences like siblings. So you have to go through lottery.
Okay. Manu, you want to add something to that? Because I remember you said you moved near the school in that neighborhood so that your son could get in.
Yeah, because I wanted him in the list. Like I was falling in only one preference list, so I wanted to take that. But yeah, I checked with them if if they have one seat, like if they have 2 seats and they have 3 kids, one with a sibling, one in the walking zone and one coming from far off, they will take the first one will be the one with the sibling, second will be the one in the walking zone, and last if any further seats are available. So
okay, thank you. Will kids go to school in the IPP system or do schooling from home? IPP, you want to talk about it, Rachna? Yes, it's just a part of the CBE program.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Drew?
Will kids go to school in IPP system or do they school from home?
No, they go to school in IPP system. It's not homeschooled with the IB.
It's a regular CBE program. It's just that your kid may have 1 or 2 classes separate from rest of the kids.
That's also, I don't think so like that, because IPP is when your child is detected with giftedness and you don't send them to any gifted school, but they are getting board school. Then they prepare a plan for them. So they do get extra work, but I don't remember my daughter going to additional classes though. But
my daughter did.
Oh, did? Okay. So maybe different from, it differ from school to school, maybe, I guess, how they engage them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I add something onto it?
Of course, yeah.
For IPP, it's not just for gifted children. It's for any child. So not any child. So for gifted children in a CBE school or a child accessing any other kind of funding, that could be for any kind of delay or disability as well. So IPP is a plan that is built for the child, just that child, to cater for their needs.
So giftedness within CBE is identified as special needs, just so you guys know.
Exceptional needs. So special needs and
exceptional needs or special needs. So it is identified as that.
Yeah.
Rup, can I add to it?
Funding, yeah.
Hanji.
They will also give, like, to challenge your kids, they will also give them higher level problems. Like for my kid, they give him 9th grade problems now. He's in 7th, but they give him 9th grade problems for like his homework.
Yeah.
So that is one added
But
thing.
it is within the school hours. Like it's not like
No, it's
extra
homework.
classes after.
It is
Yeah,
his
it's
homework.
within the school hours.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Can you send your kid to a different public school other than what is designated based on your home address? So out of boundary school.
If they
Not
have
a TLC, not any, just a regular CBE, regular programming, but out of boundary.
Yeah, if they have space available for out of boundary kids, they will give preference to their community kids. And if they have space available, you can definitely go.
And also you would need to get a no objection certificate or some kind of documentation from your neighborhood school that you can attend another school.
And you may not get the busing though.
Yes, because that's a choice.
Yeah,
you're making. That's right.
Okay.
Sorry, just to chime into that, there are some schools though that will not allow students from outside their community.
Totally, yeah.
The boundary.
Yeah.
Okay. My kid is born in 2017 and we have applied for FFCA in November 2019. So whether he will be eligible for September 2022, or do we need to keep renewing it every year? I think you have to keep renewing it every year or 2 years, right?
It's every year, and I think it's by November.
And you can do it online. You have an account with FFCA online, and you can just go online and renew the application.
Yes.
Can I add one point here, Ru?
Hanji.
Yeah, so if the parents miss to renew 2 consecutive times, like suppose you're applying for 2023 or 2022, and you've started applying and you missed to 1 year, that's fine. If you miss the 2nd year, your account will be deactivated.
Oh, you'll be dropped from the list.
On renewing every year till you get the entry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But does it matter if it's just a lottery system? Doesn't matter then? Because in the wait list is first come first serve. I understand to be on the list you have to keep doing that. But if it's just a lottery system, doesn't matter? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
system
so.
is yet to understand because they haven't started it yet.
Yeah, but when I was reading through their website, and I think so because the lottery is from the wait list. So if you are not interested and you haven't renewed, then they won't pull your name. Do you know what I mean? Like, then it's wasting their time and they're not sure if you're interested or not anymore. Because sometimes parents find a different route.
Okay, thank you.
Rup, I'm sorry to interrupt, but my 5-year-old is getting impatient. Is there anything you see with science
I
program?
had a question about science program. So there was a question, I don't have it here in front of me, but I think I read it in the chat. Someone asked, what was different about the science program from the regular programming? Like why,
Yes, I
what is
just
the
did
advantage?
answer that person. Nikita, I think she put it up there. So I did answer her saying science program would be 60% what a regular CBE school would do, and then 40% is coming with all the field trips, all the experiments and building things. So basically science program would include all CBE curriculum, adding on few more hands-on experience to teach the kids how to apply that theoretical knowledge and put it into what they build or what they do with their own hands. So it's for kids who like to be creative, who like to learn from what they feel, what they see, using more of their senses along with just reading like a book, theoretical stuff. So any kid who likes to be doing more stuff with their hands rather than just getting knowledge from books, science program would be a great fit for that kid.
Thank you so much. That answers the question.
One thing I forgot to mention for parents is if they're out of the designated area of the science program schools, they would be paying a bus fee, which is another added cost for parents. So around 200 to 300 is for field trips every year. Plus the bus fee depends on where you are living. Ours is close to 400 because we come from Saddle Ridge all the way down to Valley View. So it's around 400 to 500 every year. So that would be one more thing they would want to consider, because I'm assuming it's for some of the new parents as well who just came to the country. So they just need to know the cost to it as well.
I believe it's exactly the same for TLC as well. So any CBE alternate programs that applies to that.
The buses and then the field trips, yeah. Okay.
Thank
Is
you so
there
much,
anything
Sheetal.
you
Again,
want?
really
All
appreciate
good?
it. Divesh,
Okay.
do you want anything? Anyone else? Any questions for Sheetal?
No?
No?
Okay.
Well, we're
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Sorry, but
Sheetal.
my 5-year-old walked in like 5 times already, and she's like,
Aw.
"How long, mommy?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm coming." It's her supper time, so I'll have to leave. I'm so sorry. But if there's anything that comes up in the chat or anywhere I see with science program, I'll try to answer that later on.
Thank you so much, Sheetal.
You're welcome. Okay, take care.
Okay, I have a question about Fraser rankings. This has been coming up quite a bit. Who here believes the rankings? Who here looks at rankings? So I think Gurmeet Bindarji had answers for that. Like she had something to say in regards to that, so I'll give it to her.
So my understanding is that Fraser ranking is good as a reference point, but it's a very broad way to conclude Fraser ranking for an institute. Means when they are doing Fraser ranking for any school, they are looking into infrastructure, they are looking into class ratio, they are looking into teaching style. So that may or may not be a factor what you are looking for your child. So basically, Fraser ranking has a performance factor which may not be applied to your child. So I won't consider Fraser ranking as a go-to point. I will consider it as a reference to start looking for schools, but then I will explore various schools to see what fits best for my child.
Yeah, and also open houses. And I mean, of course, if you are registered to this webinar today, that's a start. So go to open houses, go to their website, research. Every school will have an open house. So talk to people. That's usually the best way to find out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Anyone else wanted to add anything to that about ranking systems? Okay, I think we got that covered. Anyone want to take up IB program? Raman, can you talk about the IB program?
You know, I don't want to take too much of a stab at the IB program for a couple of reasons. One, I actually never went through the IB program when I went through school. And two, in my experience, the people that have gone, I don't feel that the IB program is something that differentiates your ability to succeed or not succeed. So it is something that many people look to get into, but I think whether you choose based on IB or not IB, it will not hinder your ability to succeed in the path you want your children to go into. There are many private schools that don't offer IB, and some that do, but most private schools will offer the advanced placement, the AP. So I'm probably not the best person to speak on the IB itself, though.
Okay, I can briefly speak about IB because partial IB in high school. So IB and AP program differ a little bit. Well, they are advanced programming in addition to the regular CBE high school programming. The main difference between them is AP program is, I find it's more like Indian school of teaching. Like there's more material, so you can just study more and you can pass the exams, whereas the IB program is more like the university style of teaching. It's more comprehensive. It's more enriched learning like Westmount would do or a GATE program would do. That's the basic difference between them. So if you are a self-starter, if you're, you have great teachers, and then IB program is the way to go. And then if you like just to, go through your books and, have your set curriculum or the question and answers, you do your homework, that's more AP style. I don't know if that makes a difference, but if you look it up online, you'll be able to see the difference. And some universities do prefer students with AP and IB, and mostly those universities are in the United States. So if you're looking for an Ivy League program, for example, and Gurmeet might have more to say to that. If you're looking for an Ivy League program, perhaps they do look at AP IB, but I agree with Raman, it's not really much of a differentiator. But if your child is up for it in high school, why not?
Yeah, Rup, I would like to add something here. So most of the schools in the US. Hi.
Hi, sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. I want to add here that most of the schools in US would prefer either IB or AP.
Yeah,
But
that's
there
what I
is,
thought.
but still there is a, if your child is not into IB or AP programs, still they can apply to US or Ivy League schools and they can get admission into one of those. Like my son is at Ivy League and he did not go for IB or AP, either of those. So, but definitely it's something to which is looked at application very, very commonly. Yeah.
Yeah, it adds to your resume.
Yeah.
That's about it. I mean, if your child can do it, do it. If not, then there's nothing. You're not losing out on much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Rupa, I'm sorry to interrupt. I also have to.
Okay.
If there are no further questions for private schools.
Khalsa school. That's a question. One of the questions about.
I did put something on the chat about the Khalsa school.
Okay.
So it has been answered, and it is a private school, but it puts its faith in the Sikh religion. And so it does tend to integrate some of the Sikh values of, you know, langar and kirtan and all that kind of things into the school philosophy. It is funded or supported heavily by the Gurdwara in the Northeast. But what I would suggest is that they do look at an open house, get a tour, and really find out, you know, if that's what they're looking for, then it has a really, it's a good private school to focus on.
Thank you so much, Raman, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me today. And if you want to share my email address, that's fine. If anybody has some questions or further information they'd like, I'd be more than happy to connect with them offline.
Thank you. Bye,
All right,
Raman.
bye.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there too. Bye.
Bye. I think we've got pretty much covered. Devesh, do you have any questions? Devesh, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, most of the questions have been covered, and then I guess in the interest of time, everybody's time, we should wrap up the session now.
Yeah.
Unless there are any burning questions, and audiences can always get back to us on our email, which is info@calgaryindians.org. And so we can forward your questions to respective panelists, and then have those answers sort of redirected to you. So that's not going to be an issue. So I just want to thank everyone for joining in today. And so I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank all the panelists for sort of, you know,
sorry to interrupt you, Devesh, before you thank us. Just a couple of questions I'll quickly answer and then we'll be out. So do the Catholic schools also have IPP and GATE program? Yes, they have a program for gifted kids. Yes, they must have an IPP program as well. It may be called something different, but I'm sure they have it. And there was a question which asked, can you share your double down education, Montessori in the evening, IPP in the afternoon? So that was for kindergarten. Kindergarten in CBE is only a 3-hour day program. So for the rest of the day, you're at home. So we had an option of sending my daughter to a Montessori school for the other 3 hours in a day, just because we wanted her more engaged and out of the house. We wanted some time to ourselves. So she used to go to Montessori in the morning, and then after lunch, at lunch, we'd pick her up. She'd have lunch at home and go to kindergarten in CBE. That was about it. And we paid for the Montessori. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank me.
Hi, Ru.
Hi.
There is a question here about admission to universities, and I just want to add little. I think somebody already answered it. I just want to add a few sentences to that.
100.
Yeah. So it says here that the parent is trying to understand the process of admissions to universities after grade 12, and I just want to enforce that the grades from grade 11 and first term of grade 12 are mostly considered towards admissions to university, and most of the Canadian universities. But in states, if you're applying to a state university, grades from grade 10 onwards are considered for most of the universities in states. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any other questions that you guys see that I don't see? Does CBE offer IB program? Yes, in high school, in grade 10. And yes, now you can thank us. We're ready.
Sorry, Rup, there was just one more question.
Yes, one more.
Sorry.
I was like getting ready to be getting thanked, and okay. Sorry.
Sorry, there's just one question regarding GATE and charter school and the difference between them. Do you want to address it now? Or do you?
We have talked about it in quite a detail in the webinar. So if you guys watch this webinar later, you should be able to address this. It's a redundant question right now. But quickly, between GATE and a charter is not under CBE. Charter schools are publicly funded, no tuition. Westmount Charter is a school that is only for children who are identified as gifted. And in CBE program, a Westmount Charter is from K to 12, whereas CBE program, the gifted program, is only from grade 4 to 12, and it is called the GATE program. So they're both the same programs, but in different systems. One is in a charter system and one is in CBE.
All right, thank you so much. Perfect.
One more question.
Okay, go ahead.
Someone is asking about the exams or grading system in all these different schools. Any difference in the grading system in school? Do we need to consider this as well before looking the right school for our child? So in my opinion, I don't think so. There's a difference, right? Because they're all being graded on the CB standard process. So in my opinion, I don't think so there is, but if anyone else wants to.
So they all follow the Alberta curriculum. You're absolutely right. That doesn't really matter, but the only marks or the grades that matter are grade 12, which is a diplomas, and everyone writes the same diplomas.
Yeah,
It's
11
like
and
in
12,
India.
I guess. 11 and 12, right?
No, grade 12 diplomas, 11 you
diplomas.
don't have.
Okay, yeah, diplomas, yeah. But if you need to pre-admission for universities, I think
that's grade
you get
11.
pre-admission on the basis of grade 11 marks.
Yeah, but if you do really well, and even if you don't get in grade 11, if you do really well in grade 12, you can get in anyway, right? So you will get in. It's just you get early admission. I got early admission based on my grade 11 grades, and then but if you didn't for some reason get good grades in grade 11, grade 12 is what matters. So and that's usually only 5 courses, or it was in my day back in 2000. So I don't know anymore, but yeah, that was the case. And grade 12 is just like India board exams, or grade 10 or
we do have exams here in grade 6, grade 9 and grade 12,
but they don't matter.
They don't matter, yeah. They do, but only grade 12 exams matter, though.
They actually did not have provincial assessment tests. UCP came in and they started them again, and they were more to just to see what
teachers, teachers' performance.
And also just to see where Alberta ranks in terms of their math skills, or in terms of their skills. So it's got more to do with the programming, the system, it's administrative rather than reflecting on your child's grades or scores. So the only grades that mattered really are grade 12.
Grade 12.
Entrance for university. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
How is the stream selection here, like science, arts, commerce? Oh, in university, that really depends on your.
I think grade 10, 12, because in India we choose in grade 11. Right?
Here you choose after university. You don't choose any stream in grade 10 to 12.
No, we don't choose our major. Oh,
no. That's only in university. You have certain set of courses that you have to finish to get the diploma. And there's credits you get for those courses. They'll tell you when you get into high school, your guidance counselor will guide you on it. They'll tell you what courses you need to finish. You need to get these credits. And once you get those credits, you apply for university. You have to have, I think for us, it was more than 85% or 80% in grade 12, 5 courses to get into University of Calgary, but depends on each university is going to be different. But
each year it's
don't
going up,
and every Ivy League, of course, will look at 95 and above, right? So it depends on what university you're applying to, but no, there's no. I'm sorry.
On a lighter note, last year I think Waterloo had 98% cut. Just on
the lighter note.
It was like 98.
I think UFC was somewhere around 88, 86 somewhere.
Back in the day, my day, it was only 80%. So now they're really going up as the population increases, right? So no streams in grade 10, 11, 12. You don't have to worry about it.
You have to study each and every course. You cannot leave the social studies if you're taking.
No, exactly. Yeah. You have to have social, English, math, there was COM, we had career and life management,
Yeah.
and those were the main ones that we had to take. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
those are
rest
the
of
main
them
one at Westmount right now as well. Yeah, currently.
yeah, I think those are the main ones and the essential ones, and everything else you just fill in the credits as you see fit. All right. Are we ready to get thanked, guys?
Yes, Devesh, now you can thank Roop.
And all of us.
Roop is waiting. We are keep on
I
interrupting.
know.
My heart, No, but on a serious note, thank you so much to all of our panelists who volunteered the precious time for this webinar. And this has been super useful. I'm talking from a participant's perspective because I was one. And so for me, it was super useful, and I believe it would be useful for others as well. And we had a good show up today. Almost 120 people showed up, which is great. And this webinar was also live on Facebook. So if anybody's missed it, they can always catch up on it on Facebook. So that's great. But again, thank you so much to all of our panelists. And to the participants, I would like to say, if you have any questions that have been unanswered, so you can always email them to us on info@calgaryindians.org, and we can forward them to our panelists who will answer them for you. So that's not an issue at all. And the other thing, one thing I would like to add is, this was a voluntary initiative, and all of our participants sort of volunteered at the time, but we want to continue doing these such good things for our group members. So if you want us to sort of continue doing it, everything requires resources. So please consider donating us, and we can use your donations to sort of keep taking such initiatives and keep doing such useful things for our community. So thank you so much. That's all from me. Yeah. Bye.
I was expecting more, Divish. Come on.
Were you? I thought I already stretched a bit.
Come on, where's your Oscar speech, man?
I know.
Come on,
I know.
roll it out.
It's like I'm really thankful to each and every one of you.
Right, everyone, and their spouses and their kids,
Yeah.
and
And God. And God.
and God, yeah.
Ali, if people wish to donate us, how can they do it? Do you want to highlight that?
Ali?
Ali, yeah.
Oh, just send us a check. Thank you.
Send us a check, or they can as well. Get in touch with us.
Get in touch with me personally. So sorry to be funny at the end of the session. We've been here for over 3 hours here, but on a serious note, though, right? Get in touch with one of us, and we will let you know how. And check would be good. We are a nonprofit organization, so you will definitely get a receipt.
Perfect.
We are a registered nonprofit, so thank you all for supporting. It's fantastic. And if you really want to go one step further, get in touch with me personally, myself, Devesh, or Manogan, so we can guide you through it. Otherwise, it's just a normal donation process, and we will send you a receipt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, all the panelists, one more time for sticking around. I know everyone has their children and everyone has their responsibilities, and it's Father's Day today, but you made the time today. That says a lot about who you are. So thank you once again, and have a fantastic evening. Go outside, enjoy yourself, and hopefully we'll do more of these sessions going forward.
Let's have a round of applause for all the panelists.
Thanks.
It was nice
Thanks, Ruth.
meeting you all.
Yes,
Thank
that
you all,
too.
guys. It was a wonderful
guys.
session.
And we're thanking each other. Thank you all the audience too, whoever.
Yes, thanks to all the
Yes,
audience who
thank
were
you
able to
to the audience.
participate. Thank you so much.
All right, bye, guys.
Good night.
All right, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Just stop recording.
Is it still recording?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's blinking, so I thought.
Okay. It's not recording.